Okay, whenever you're ready.
My name is Coach Melton, and this is Melton Johnson, and our first section is on Knockwood.
Well, when I first saw the title Knockwood, and I saw the name B.F. Skinner, I was not surprised, because B.F. Skinner has written many books, and he has performed many experiments, researches, and I thought he was a quack. But his studies really do lead to some important issues. Like, he believed that everything psychological is related to the study of the mind. And the mind is, excuse me, he believed that everything psychological is related to the study of the mind. Everything that is related to the study of the mind, he considered behavior. That is your public, external behavior, your private, internal behavior. Skinner also believed that our private behavior was difficult to study because we all have our own different personal experiences. According to Skinner, your behavior is always followed by consequences, whether good or bad. Some consequences are praises, some rewards, some monetary gifts. But all these consequences are called reinforcers. And the other consequences that when you injure yourself or you have an embarrassing moment or something is moved from you that you enjoy doing is called punishments. The reinforcers. Skinner believed that if behavior was reinforced with rewards, then you are more likely to repeat the behavior, not only at that moment, but in the future. An example is if you work long hours, you reap more attention from your boss, and that you feel more important, you are likely to continue that type of work. The punisher that Skinner believed is that behavior causing embarrassing, sadness, grief, pain, etc. is not likely to be repeated. For instance, if you're being scolded for skipping school, according to the punishment, you would not repeat that same behavior. Skinner considered both reinforcement and punishment the most fundamental process being referred to as operant conditioning. Extension. In operant conditioning, extension occurs if the trained behavior is no longer reinforced. Extension refers to a gradual weakening of a conditioned response that results in the behavioral decreasing or disappearing. Skinner defined extension as the reinforcement that is decreased in the learned behavior. Decrease in the learned behavior is decreased till it becomes extinct. Sometimes if it becomes extinct, that doesn't mean that it will disappear altogether. It means that it will be less repeated. Superstitions. What superstition do you have? Everyone have superstition, and superstitions are everywhere. Some common superstitions is walking on the ladder, breaking mirrors. And why we deal with superstition? Because in this study that Skinner, that Hope will talk about, he's dealing with superstition pigeons. Well, I never believed that superstition would go that far, but dealing with Skinner, I would say anything is good for him. Some other superstitions that main one, a black cat crossing your path, Friday the 13th, looking in the mirror first thing in the morning and breaking it, seeing your mate dressed in a wedding dress on the day of her wedding, it's all that superstitious. Open the umbrella to the broom, all kinds of superstitions that we ourselves have.
Here we have the non-contingent reward. What I got from reading about the non-contingent reward is that, like kids, like I do it for one kid, like, you know, they throw temper tantrums. Like, you're not really saying that temper tantrum will lead to a bad thing. It's just that temper tantrum always lead to rewards. That's why kids do temper tantrums. Not exactly saying they're gonna get something bad, like a punishment or something. So I put like an example, like the family that plays together, stays together. People believe that you know, if you do that, you know, that's gonna lead to you staying together. And other people believe that, you know, if you blow your dice a certain way and that you hit, that you definitely gonna hit, or if I wear a certain cap, that it's gonna lead to this. So those examples are non-contingent rewards. It's not saying that the environment or anything is gonna lead to the behavior that you're expecting. Like, it may be good or bad, it's still gonna lead to a good, you know, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's not saying that it's being, you know, influenced by anything. So like, you know, some people, you know, if I don't read at 2 in the morning, you know, if I don't get up at this o'clock in the morning, you know, it's gonna be this way. It's just not saying that it's not being influenced by anything. And then we have the Skinner box. Let's see. Skinner performed a method to prove his superstitious behavior through what is called the Skinner box. He used pigeons to show that using positive reinforcement, no matter what the pigeon did, he could motivate behavior. So basically, he had a pigeon inside of a box, and every 15 seconds intervals, the box would drop a pellet. And with that, it was causing the bird to, I guess, where I took it, I guess to think that if I do this behavior, like if I bounce, or if I peck here, if I peck there, that will cause a pellet, although the interval is only set to every 15 seconds. Even if he didn't do anything, it's going to drop every 15 seconds. When he did this study, he had the birds where he didn't feed them, like I say 1 or 2 days. He probably like rarely fed them. So when he did the study, that'll motivate them to want to try to get the food. So that is like, this is the example of how the box was set up for that. Okay, like I said, he wanted to prove that he could teach behavior by using positive reinforcement. Like I said, they did receive a reward in the increments of 15 seconds. And the pigeon they started behaving as if doing certain things would produce the food, which it didn't, like I said, because it was set in the increments of 15 seconds. Now, the results of it was, out of 8 cases, 6 out of 8 cases resulted in perfectly counting instances. One condition to turn counterclockwise, making 2 or 3 turns between reinforcements. One repeatedly thrust its head into one of the upper corners of the cage. 2 developed a pendulum motion of the head and the body, in which the head was extended forward and swung from right to left with a sharp movement followed by a somewhat slower return. 1 was conditioned to make incomplete pecking or brushing movements directed toward but not touching the floor. So basically, he was causing them to behave in a way that he really wanted them to, showing that by superstitious behaviors that you think by me doing this behavior is going to produce this result, superstitious behavior, which we all do. Which I don't really think I have a superstitious behavior, but they say everyone do. Okay, and after a while, which I think he did for like a week, after a while, he increased the interval to 1 minute. Recorded that the pigeon became more energetic, that the hopping and bouncing became a rhythm, sort of like the pigeon dance. So they started a dance trying to, you know, thinking that by doing this, it's going to produce that, which in actuality, that's going to get it anyway. With extension, the behavior decreased. So he cut off the pellets, slower, by time to time, slower and slower, the pigeon started, you know, stopped doing the hopping and bouncing. One pigeon bounced 10,000 times before he actually stopped, thinking that, you know, it's going to produce that food. And in the end, he ended up with 6 superstitious pigeons. Criticism. Y'all like our pigeons. Okay, the person that really argued with Skinner was Carl Rogers. He was like his biggest debater. So he debated everything basically what Skinner did. So if I could just quote from the article, it said that Carl Rogers wrote, In this world of inner meanings, humanistic psychology can investigate issues which are meaningless for the behaviorists. Purpose, goals, values, choice, perceptions of self, perceptions of others, the personal constructs with which we build our world, the whole phenomenal world of the individual with its connective tissues of meaning. Not one aspect of this world is open to the strict behaviorists. Yet these elements have significance for man's behavior seems certainly true. He may argue that strict behavior view are unable to account for the psychological processes that are fundamental to humans. So basically, you can do this for animals, but can you really apply this to humans? He was basically arguing that, and he was just saying, no, you couldn't, apply this to humans because he was saying that superstitions are everywhere. It's not something that that you can be trained to do, that you can learn to do. It's just superstitions are everywhere. Anybody have any questions?
So really, was the behavior just learned, or was it superstition?
Well, I say it was learned because he was motivating the behavior. And although they learned it, they were still trying to, they was like, I guess in their heads, they was trying to think, they were thinking that if I bounce a little bit more, if I peck a little bit more, then I'll get the food a little bit faster.
That's the whole point, though. What Skinner wanted to show was that everything people do can be learned or is learned. Okay, so he picked, what would seem like something that's impossible to learn, meaning superstition. And what is superstition? At the end of the day, superstition is little things that you do that you think cause an effect, but they don't. But you still engage in them. Okay, so you pick, you turn 3 times around before picking your lottery numbers, or you never win the lottery numbers, and so on and so forth. So what he wanted to do was to show. I mean, this is not just okay. Let's teach something weird to pigeons. What he wanted to show was that any human behavior, that was his agenda. Any human behavior can be shown to be learned. And the point here was that even something as stupid as a pigeon would pick up on this idea that when rewarded the rewards didn't have anything to do with what the pigeons did. But most animals that have even a pigeon brain or higher, they tend to look for patterns of cause and consequence in what happens. Okay, and particularly so humans. So what he was showing there was that this impulse to find patterns of cause and consequence would force the pigeons to relate whatever they were doing at the time when the first few pellets came down as the cause for the pellets coming down, and they would engage in that behavior more often. And basically the implication of this is that what's the word? What's the word we're using? Not behavior. The word we're using.
Superstition?
Superstition, thank you, sorry. That human superstition was nothing else but this, that on one occasion,
So it was really
for
just
one reason or another, you engaged in a certain behavior and it was somehow rewarded, even partially rewarded,
Right.
and that made you continue doing that.
Okay.
That was the claim, basically. So it's not just that the pigeons can become superstitious. The point is even pigeons can learn to be superstitious, and the implication is therefore humans are more prone to do so. But that was part of Skinner's agenda, to show that everything can be learned, except for a few very, very, very few basic instincts. That's the behaviors agenda that we're going to study in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, because he had a box too where he actually put the word in there, right?
Which box?
Like spin or...
What are you talking about? For people?
He did a rat.
No. Skinner's box is just a Skinner's box is just a box where he kept animals that had different actuators, meaning either buttons or levers that the animals could push at different occasions to receive food pellets. It has nothing to do with whether he wrote something on. I mean,
He did a rat box.
I know, but the variations of the box are irrelevant. They were adjusted. I mean, it's not that Skinner box was read. I mean, he had thousands of boxes. The Skinner box is just the methodology that he used to put animals in a restricted environment where they would be either rewarded or punished depending on what they did. So we're gonna look into that in a couple of weeks' time. Any other questions?
That's one question.
You directly questions to them.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, it's more towards you involving their, okay, I'll try to direct it to you. I'm just wondering if there's a group of psychologists, and you probably don't know this one, kind of speaking out loud, that relate a lot of studies to humans as far as involving animals, or is there like a fine line where they say, no, we're absolutely not going to do that? Because I see a pattern sometimes with a lot of psychology studies just not wanting to relate anything to humans when a lot of it seems very similar. I mean, obviously there's a disconnect, but...
Funny you mentioned that, because that's today's lecture. That's what today's lecture is going to be about.
Some of the books and studies I've read, they much rather do animals first before they try it on the human.
Right.
I don't know the reason for that. I don't know if animals are more obedient or they can do more tedious
Cheaper.
things, and it could be cheaper. So, but
Well, not just that. There are things that you just cannot do with humans,
Yes.
and there's even an interest. I mean, think about it. Let me throw a twist right there, and I will emphasize something that I already said. The point of Skinner was that even pigeons could be trained to be superstitious. So there was a point why he didn't pick monkeys, and pigeons are cheaper to keep, and so on and so forth. But the point is, even, have you heard the expression, you're pigeon hair, or you have a pigeon's brain? Well, even pigeons could be trained to be superstitious. So there was a point behind that. Now, as to how much you can draw from animal studies, there's a whole field called comparative psychology,
Right.
and so on, that people dedicate their lives to exactly that, to see where we draw the line. But that's what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. So let's leave it at that. Thank you so much. Very well. Okay.